Alaikum. Alhamdulillah. Dear believers, if we would at this time, please put our cell phone on vibrate or silent at this time, please. Thank you so much.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala salat. Hayya ala falah. Hayya ala falah. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. La ilaha illallah.
Alhamdulillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. As you say, with the name of Almighty God, the merciful benefactor, the merciful redeemer, I bear witness that there is nothing, that there is absolutely nothing worthy of worship except for Allah and Allah alone. And I openly bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his servant, his messenger, and the seal of all the prophets. That's what he said. I greet you, dear believers, with the universal greeting of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Mubarak.
Mubarak.
Alhamdulillah. I'm elated to be here today. To be with like-minded people.
Alhamdulillah.
That is something serious in today's time. You know, we have been instructed since the beginning of the start of our community, during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, that the believers should beware amongst the believers. And even when this community here, this unique and extraordinary miracle that Allah created, beginning with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, Allah forgive him for his sins and grant him the highest station in paradise. It's always instructed that the believers beware amongst the believers. And that thought and that practice extended with our beloved teacher and leader, Imam Muhammad, Rahimahullah Alayhi, that we should be amongst one of us, and there's a reason for that. And it's not that we should not intermingle with other people, but it is a special feeling. It is a special gift. It is a special blessing from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala when the believers are amongst the believers. And as I say, whenever we are together, we hear the special blessing of life, of this part of our life. Allah tells us in the Quran that when He blesses us with the gift and the blessing of rest, of sleep, the angels come and they do what? They take the soul. They take the soul. And if you are blessed for the soul to be returned to the shell that represents your physical human existence, is for the reason to do nothing more to seek Allah's pleasure, to do Allah's will, to represent that abstract nature that is your characteristic, that's your soul, who you really and truly are. And it is a blessing that Allah says that you have done your time and you have done what His will was for your destiny and your destination. Pray that Allah grants that person, that soul, that existence, is what? His high station in paradise. That He heightened their space in the grave, and that He light that grave with the light of the most brightest light in His existence and His creation. Inshallah, we will journey this day in hoping and understanding the Uswatul Hasana of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We say that we follow his sunnah. We follow what he did and how he did things and how he said things. But do we truly embrace and attempt to emulate the Uswatul Hasana of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam? Those two words, Uswatu, from the root word asa, to imitate. Uswatu, an example or role model worthy of imitation of or copy. An exemplar. That word exemplar. Exemplar is from the Latin word exemplare, and it is a person that is considered to be so good that the person should be imitated and copied. Hasan. To be excellent, beautiful, good.
It's good.
The Uswatul Hasana is the most excellent conduct and model of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, referring to his exemplary what? Character. His character. That is letting us know that worried about how tall he was is not our concern. What skin tone he was is not our concern. His character His beautiful and exemplary character is what we should live and thrive to be each and every day of our existence. A lot of us get caught up in what was his dress? He had a beard. How long was his beard? Did he put henna in his beard? What color was the henna? Allah doesn't tell us to look at those things. He doesn't tell us to follow those things. He doesn't tell us to be worried about a kufi or a turban or a jalabiyah. Allah tells us in Surah 33, Ayat 21, ye have indeed in the messenger of Allah a most beautiful pattern of conduct for anyone who hopes in Allah in the final day and who engages much in the praise of Allah. لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ لِمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو اللَّهَ وَالْيَوْمَ الْآخِرَ وَذَكَرَ اللَّهَ كَثِيرًا. You have indeed in the message of Allah a beautiful pattern, a beautiful example of conduct for anyone who hopes in Allah and in the final day and who engages much in the praise of Allah. The Uswatun Hasana of the Prophet Muhammad. What is that? It is the natural pattern in which Allah has created for the development of our human potential. It is the natural pattern in which Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, has created the human being to develop its most dynamic potential. Before the Prophet Muhammad was known as the messenger of Allah, he was known as Muhammad al-Amin, the most trustworthy. Before the first revelation was even given to him, his character, his uswatun hasana, was that of one to be trusted. The Quraysh would bring their most what? Valuable possessions to Muhammad al-Amin to keep. In the seerah of the Prophet, there were times in which there were disagreements amongst the people. And when they had those high and intensified disagreements, when they saw him, they immediately asked him to do what? Come and hear both sides. Both sides. And when he came and he heard both sides, and he gave his thought on it, or how he felt it should be and it should go, there was never a question asked on his decision. Because his character was so pristine, in which they trusted what he said. That pattern. And even during the time of his prophethood, let's begin with the first. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam began to give the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he asked a question. He asked, did you trust me? They said, without a doubt. You are Muhammad the trustworthy. We trust you. He then asked the question, if I told you there was an army approaching and they meant to do us harm, would you believe me? They said, without a doubt. So now I am telling you that there is no God but Allah. And to stop your worship of these idols, stop creating these idols, stop making money off this foolishness, and believe in the direct message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, for He has given it to me. The angel of will has come to me. Oh, there was doubt, there was ridicule, there was violence that people spat upon. There were vows that were put on his body. There was a 13-year period of hardship. Well, physically, he lost money. Physically, he was beaten and ridiculed. Physically, he lost the love of his life. 25 years. And when Allah revealed to him that it was time for him to migrate, to make his hijrah from Mecca to Medina, he entrusted Ali. He entrusted Ali with a variant of things. One, they had to come up with a plan. And Ali was supposed to put on the prophet's favorite robe and sleep in the prophet's bed. But he also told Ali to give back all of the goods and items in which he was entrusted with. What does that say right there? What does that say? I don't believe that you guys messengers. I'm going to torture, torment you, ridicule you, but I still trust you with my most prized possessions. The unbelievers, he had possessions of the unbelievers. That character, that role model, that uswatul hasana of being the most trustworthy, never left. Now for us, I'm saying for me, I can't you beat me, you dog me. My wife dies because of your foolishness. And I got your stuff. Because you trusted me with your stuff. Is my human nature at least not the question, I should do something with this. I should do something to this. Huh? But his character, his nature, still allowed him to be entrusted with that. We don't believe in that, but we know he ain't gonna do what? No wrong to us, to our thing. We say the wrong thing to one another today, and on the ride home we gotta wonder, ooh, what that person thinking about. We'll say, I don't care what they think. Yes, you do. Come on, put it on your head. Because it's something in their character to say, oh, this next encounter may not what? May not go with. Or they gotta come back. I'm just waiting for the comeback. That was not the character of Rasulullah sallallahu. His comeback was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I trust Allah. I still have to naturally live up to this human potential that excels beyond my physical existence. And in the seerah of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet's uswatun hasana is tested for him as a statesman, a husband, and a life partner to his wife. And it is tested during the time in which a treaty is trying to come about. We've gone past the wars. We've made the history. And Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was given the revelation of understanding that it was time to go make a umrah, to go from Medina to Mecca. And he had a party of believers to go with him. And he told them to gather their camels for slaughter and their camels for ride. And it was a treacherous journey. Because Quraysh found out about it and they tried to do what they were going to do with it. But Allah planned. You planned. And Allah plans, and Allah was blessed with the best of plans. And that journey brought them to the valley of Hudaybiyah. And in that, you had people going and there were people riling up stuff. And we know about people like that. You know, we call them mess stars. You know, there's always somebody going to heighten something and make it more. But the Prophet showed humility and patience and calm. When it was time for the treaty to be done, the Prophet and Suhail sat with one another, and several other people as well as the Muslims and other people of the Quraysh. And when they began to write this, Ali wrote, Bismillahir-Rahman Rahim. Suhail objected to the term Rahim, insisted on saying Bismillahumma, because he said, I don't know who Rahim is. I don't know who this is. Of course, the Muslims, they started getting tight. They started to get upset about it. What you mean? You can't accept that? You can't accept who he is? But he accepted what? Bismillah Allahumma. Is that not an attribute of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The Prophet said, okay, no problem. And they went on. And when they began to write the terms, Ali wrote, these are the terms of the truce between Muhammad, the messenger of Allah, and Suhail, the son of Imam. Suhail didn't agree with that. He said, we thought that you was Allah's messenger. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't be doing this right now. Rasulullah said, write what he said. Muhammad, the son of Abdul. Muslims hearing this, they getting tight again. He is the messenger of Allah. What you mean? You can't put that down. That's who he is. That's his title. But Muhammad was thinking beyond a physical note of title. He knew who he was. I remember my mother said, why are you worried about what somebody calling you when you're more concerned about who you are? If you know who you are, you ain't got to worry about what somebody's calling you. But we live in a society of what? Titles. Titles. Dr. Imam. Sheikh. You didn't call him Sheikh. You just called him by first. You didn't call him Sheikh. When he came into this world, what did his mama call him? What name did she give him? Because these names mean something, right? Each and every one of you have chosen a name or was given a name that meant or means something. It is something that you are striving to be before you are given a title. Mahaj. It's Hindi. It means a royal descent. And a lot of people, where you get that name from? Yeah, made that name up. I ain't made up no name. That's been the thought around here for years. That boy made that name up. It means a royal descent. Abdul-BaaQee, the servant of the ever living. That's why when people call me BaaQee, I get mad. I'm not BaaQee. I'm his servant. I got an expiration date. But the Lord, the rock that I serve, is infinity beyond infinity beyond infinity beyond infinity. If I return to Allah today, Imam is not going to be on that grave mound. Mahaj Mahdi Abdul-BaaQee the first. That's what's going to be on there. He was Muhammad ibn Abdullah. No words. Alhamdulillah. That takes what? Humility. That takes a character that shines beyond even what the people in your group are saying in the back. Because a lot of times we do what? Oh, they ain't saying nothing about you right. And that stirs up what? A sense of what? Haughtiness. A sense of not Rasulullah. Not that exemplary. His uswatul hasanah was not there. And as the treaty was agreed upon and laid down, and they said that they laid down the burdens of war for 10 years on the condition, and these were some of the conditions, that the Qurayshi who came unto the prophet without consent of his or her guardian, their mother, their father, their owner, if they were not an agreement made upon, those people would have to go back to the Quraysh. And then it was agreed upon that those who were with Rasulullah's community, if they wanted, and they went to the Quraysh, you keep them. We'll be 90 over here. And it was said that they could not enter the gates of Mecca. They couldn't enter. They couldn't go and make the Umrah, as we officially know the practice to be. By this time, the Muslims super high. And to add insult injury to how brought his son, Abu Jandal, a youth that fled from Mecca, from his father, after accepting Islam, he brought him in chains. And he brought him in front of the believers. And he began to beat him and humiliate him. Now, we've accepted all these terms. You're not calling the prophet by his name. You're not saying Bismillah, and then you take one of our brothers and you do this. And they're watching the prophet. The prophet ain't saying move, but they're so upset about the situation. Or as young people say, they 38 hot. So much to the point that Umar approaches the prophet and aggressively asks him, are you not Allah's messenger? You know it, don't nobody else know that he's Allah's messenger. But you say it, what you say is how you say it. The prophet, in the most humbling manner, says, yes. Then Umar asked, Are we not right and our enemies wrong? The prophet said, yes. He didn't raise his voice. Then Omar stated, why? Then why? We in such a lowly wise against, then why are we in such a lowly wise against our religion? Now you challenging the messenger of Allah. And you know you challenging the messenger of Allah. And Rasulullah says, I am Allah's messenger and I will not disobey him. There are individuals right now, if you challenge their authority on anything, especially when they say they know what they're doing, there's an onward act of aggression that will be met what? With aggression. Whether it be in your tone of voice, whether it be in your approach to the person. As parents, when our children get to the point where they're teenagers and even adults, and we're trying to show and be an example, they tend to what? Challenge us, right? Remember the title. Who are you talking to? Come here, let me tell you something. Oh, I got something for you. Say one more thing. You say one more thing and I got you. Especially these ones in their 20s and 30s. They quick to be haughty and question you. You supposed to know that you supposed to be. Because that's what he did to Rasulullah, did he not? He said, yes, I am. But I will not disobey. Because he knew that there was more to this than what emotions were looking at. His higher intellect, his higher human potential that exceeded beyond the physical. Because this process right here was exceeding what? Beyond the physical. The entire situation was exceeding beyond the physical. The most highest human potential in which God created us to be that exceeds beyond the highest human potential in our what? In our intellectual nature, in our spiritual nature, in our moral capacity. That's who Rasulullah is. He is the highest human potential that exceeds beyond the physical. That's why we don't worry about a beard. That's why we don't worry about a height. Because when we see him, we see his what? His exemplary role model, his exemplary character. This is what we should follow. This is the decency that they're talking about. This is the dress of the Muslim. His uswatun hasana. The third incident, during that treaty. After all these things were done, Rasulullah came to the believers and told them, shave your heads and slaughter the camel that you brought with you. And they looked. They didn't move. He said it again. His humility allowed him to what? Walk away. He went into his tent and he spoke with his wife, Salaamu, who came with him. And he told her about what was happening and what was going on. And he said they didn't move. I told them to do something. Told them to do this after all these things, and they just looked. And in his humility as a husband and as a life partner, and in trusting that she would give him what was first and foremost pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, she said, go forth. Say no words until you have completed the sacrifice. until you have completed the task in which you have required them to do. He didn't say, why I got to do that? How come this? Now, how many times for those of us who are in the room and we've gone to our wives for counsel, and they've given us good counsel? How many times have we totally accepted and said, baby, you right? Why? How come? What for? And then they have to tell us again. But then they have to, okay, you came to me. I told you what I think should happen. Allahu Akbar. Most of the time, it's not until they're Allahu Akbar, until, okay. He, without a doubt, entrusted her. His wife, your wife, wives are more than just wives. They are your life partner. This is the person that you are walking through life with 85 to 90% of the time. If something happened at work, who the first person you gonna call? Baby, you can't believe what happened. Because if you don't call them, they're gonna call you. And when he went to her, because this was, wait a minute now. First and foremost, I get questioned, am I the messenger of Allah? He just walked up on me. And walked up on me like he was going to whoop me. Asking me about what Allah already has planned. And then when I tell the believers, is that not a test? And they don't move? That is a test that's a test of your character. And when she told him, go forward. Go forward. And when he did exactly what she said, it rejuvenated the believers. It rejuvenated the believers, and they went forth and did what they had to do. And when they went back on to Medina, it was a clear victory for them. Because the next year, the Umrah came. And then a couple of years after that was the what? The conquer of Mecca. But had he not been in that character of humility, being able to deal with any and everything, and humbly know that Allah is the best of planners, and trusting that Allah is the best of planners. Not just saying, but what? Believing that Allah is the what? Best of planners. That's a character development. That's what we should emulate within the prophet. That's what we should follow, not an accent. Because we don't know what the prophet accent, but we know his what? His character. His uswatul hasan. When we're talking to each other, when some of the prophet says so and so and so, and okay, I completely not. But if I tell you in the character of the prophet, do you see what you're doing? Is that the uswatul hasan of the prophet? That's kind of like a smoke check right there. Is that the character of the prophet? That kind of makes the human being say, whoa. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us. He said, ye have indeed in the messenger of Allah the most beautiful pattern of conduct for anyone who hopes in Allah in the final day. It didn't just say the brothers. It say believers, ye have indeed in this character. His patience. There's so many stories of his patience. But one of the stories that we can highlight for just a moment was his patience with his children and his grandchildren. Abu Hurairah reported that he heard and saw the Messenger of Allah either hold Hassan or Hussein by the hand. And he put the child's feet on his feet and told the baby to climb. Just climb. Climb until you get to it. Why is that important? Because we as human beings go through days of stress, anxiety, disruption. A lot of things happen when we get out in this world. And when we come home, the first thing we say is what? We tired. Do we want a little person climbing all over us? Give me a minute. That wasn't the character of the prophet. He saw the beauty and the innocence in this child. He said, this play. Because there's kinetic energy in there. And that innocence and that playfulness, there's a point of rejuvenation because you see someone who is happy. You see someone who is joyful. You see someone who is connecting with you because they know you to be that one that they love. And if you allow that to happen instead of giving then that energy what? You absorb what? That same energy. Now we talk about our little penny and jobs and this and that. You and I are not a mercy to all of mankind. You and I will never be the one in which a lot of either says, you it, be it, know it, feel it, show it. But within that he said, come on. The second example of that patience and that calmness of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that uswatun hasanah. He was making salat, and it was one of the grandsons again. They climbed on his back, and they said that the prophet stayed in the state of what? Session. For a long period of time. Long period. Of course we know when people during that time, they were looking at the prophet, why is he doing this? Maybe it's something coming about, maybe it's a revelation, maybe it's something that we need to do from henceforth. He said he was praying, I was giving him enough time to do what he needed to do to be happy before I came up. There are some places that if a child is running, come here, stop all that run. Who is baby Bob? In that natural order, they're being in that natural order, they're giving you that life. It is said that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he never looked at the small people and were constantly trying to tell them, he was showing you. So if the baby get up and they run around, and you and I go into ruku, you know eventually that baby gonna come and get in the line and say, well, and then they gonna run some more. And then we go into session and toss. And then they may get in our lap. And they make bounce. Naturally being what? The nature that Allah created them to live into that human potential of excellence and intelligence at that phase. So, dear believers, in closing of this first part of the khutbah, forgive me for being long-winded. If you're worried about the dress, you're wrong. Have you worried about the beard? Even though he said we should have it. A lot of Muslims can't grow a beard. What are you going to do if you can't grow a beard? Huh? What color is the beard? If you're worried about a prayer cap that's supposed to keep your head clean, that's what this is for. It's not to identify you as anything. You are. It is your character. It is our character that we should live and thrive every day. to improve. And the perfect example, the one who has the most beautiful and excellent character, that uswatun hasana is of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You can't get no more sunnah than that. If you're going to follow a sunnah, follow the sunnah of his character. Follow his most excellent example. There's a reason why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, I've given you two things. I've given you what? The Quran, the book, and the excellent role model that is the exemplary character of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And that character is not his physical, it is his abstract nature. Can you see abstract? But you can feel it. And it is that nature of his human spirit, his human mind, his human intellect that expresses itself beyond his physical creation. Okay, now, let me give you an example. For those of us who can remember. Big Luke. The Alaikum for the sins and grant him paradise. Yahya Luke Mazia. When you think of him, you think of character. You think of his character. Brother Lamont. For those who remember, we remember him when we smile. Because of his what? His character. Huh? His character. Rasul Hassan Medina. This is character. Whenever I go anywhere, I've been overseas, and when they say, Rasul, oh, you know Rasul? You know Rasul? Man, Rasul, it wasn't Rasul was this height. It wasn't Rasul, it was Rasul's what? His character. We should hope that each and every day, Imam wants to be Muhammad Rahim al-Ahmadi. What color was his eye? I don't know. Brown. I can't tell you what color brown. How much should he weigh? I don't know. But when we think of him and we speak of him, we talk about his what? His character. And Imam said, I am striving to be in the character of what? Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That is the sunnah. We thank Allah for his mercy. We thank Allah for his grace, his kindness, his love, his compassion, his protection. We thank Allah for allowing us to have the most exemplary role model and most perfect conduct in the human existence and form that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. ربنا اتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Oh Lord, grant us the goodness of this life and the goodness of the future life and protect us from the past sin. Amen. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله. If you all would allow me a few minutes. And I'm reading from the Life of Muhammad by Martin Luther. It's a seerah of the Prophet. We have to understand something. As students, Because you never stop being stupid. The prophet said that you learn from what? The cradle to the grave. They ain't dropped it. We got picked up, but we ain't got dropped out yet. So it's students. Did you know that there's a history behind every revelation in the Quran? There's something, an event or something that happened. And it's not always in the hadith. We should know the seerah, the history of us as a people, because that's us. People might say, well, they got to do this, but we ain't worried about that part. But in this, it was during the time of the prophet, and it said that at every assembly Quraysh, there was at least some discussion that seemed to them the most greatest problem, and they now decided to send to Yathrib, which is now Medina, to consult Jewish rabbis about the prophet and these revelations that he was saying that he was God's message. And they asked him about the prophet, and 2 envoys came, and they described him to them to tell them what he said, for they are people of the first scripture. What is that letting you know right now? It's letting you know that the Quraysh, even though they're not believing in the revelation in which the prophet revealed, they went to people of what? Scripture. They went to people of scripture, people of the first scripture, they said. And the rabbis sent them back with questions for him. One of the first questions was, ask him of some young men who left their folks in days of old and how it was with them. For their tale is a tale of wonder. And then ask him of the tidings of the far traveler who reached the ends of the earth in the east and the west. And ask him of the Spirit, what it is. If he tells you of these things, then follow him. He is a prophet. This is what the rabbis told the Quraysh. If he gives you these 3 things, these 3 answers, then follow him. The envoy returned to Mecca with the news, and they asked the prophet the 3 questions. And he said, tomorrow I will tell you, but he did not say, Insha'Allah. When they came for the answers, he had to put them out. He had to put them out. And it lasted for 15 nights. Now, the Gabriel came to him, nor a direct revelation. There are 2 ways in which Rasulullah received revelation. Either from the angel Jibreel, or when Allah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, set revelation upon him, it was in such a intense manner that he was in a state of convulsion. He was waiting on that. Either one of them. I'm waiting on it. And this caused him concern because he thought he had did something that was displeasing. And when the revelations came to him, there was also a revelation that said, and say not anything, for verily I shall do that tomorrow, except you say it, Insha'Allah. That's where they came from. Say not anything that I will do it tomorrow, except that you say, Insha'Allah. Because he said, I'll get to you tomorrow. Come back, I got you. Not without the Insha'Allah. Because nothing is fathomable without what? Allah's will. So if I say I'm going to walk out to the car, Inshallah, is it that serious? I could walk and trip over this rug and break my ankle. Did I get to the car? We ain't thought about it like that, have we? Inshallah, I'll get there. these naked knees that I got, they work when they want to. And then when they don't want to, I buckle. Ma, you alright? I ain't used to you doing that. Me either. But inshallah, I will walk a little better. Today, tomorrow, and the next, because if it's Allah's will, then it'll happen. That's why that revelation was revealed. So when we say something, we need to know why we're saying it, what we're saying, and what is the history behind it. And what were those revelations that he talked about, those answers? First, let me ask you. There is a surah that we're supposed to read. Beginning Friday night, which is last night. Jumu'ah. It's Surah what? I'm not going to ask how many of us did it. No, I'm not going to do that. That's a bus out. You don't do a bus out. But in that surah were the two of the three answers. One was talking about what? The men of the cave. Because the priest said, the rabbi said, if he can answer all three of these, follow him. What does it say about the men of the cave for those who go through the red surah today? It talks about them, the men of the cave that went to sleep because they believed Allah put them to sleep. And it talks about a valiant point. He said that there was a dog at the front. There was a dog at the front. And he was talking about some there were 3, 4, 5 with a dog. Some say there were 5, 6 with a dog. Some say 7. But who knows best? Allah knows best. You worry about it. Now, but understand the meaning behind it. Understand the lesson within it. Don't worry about how many. Worry about the fact. It's not the quantity, it's the what? Quality. Imam, you say this all the time. I don't need all y'all. Y'all can leave out here today. If I got 3 true to heart, it's enough. It's enough. Some communities have a plethora of people, but they got a handful of what? Enough. And that enough moves mountains, get things done, because first and foremost, they say, inshallah, we will do this, we will have this, we will get this done by Allah's will and Allah's mercy. They make the dua. And Allah sends them, and he sends them angels, and he sends all that. Because inshallah, inshallah, inshallah. The second question is in Surah Al-Khatib as well. It talks about Dhul-Qanah. I almost at the last thing. And it talks about his journey. And it talks about how he went to the people of Gog and Magog. And they asked him to protect them from these evil entities. And they did the brass. And they blew into it. I'm not just going to come here and work for you. We're going to do what? Work together. That was the example of what? Community life. Allah will send us people and things that will lead us, but without the community engagement, is what? Nothing. That's the example in that. Alhamdulillah. And they talked about the Spirit. Asked them about the Spirit. And Rasulullah told them what the Spirit was and what the Spirit's duty was. Now, of course, you know, they didn't follow him. Because it was not their time. But it let those, especially the people of the book, know what? Because the people of the book told him, ask him this question. The people of Scripture said, ask him this question. And he had already been validated by one person of Scripture that we know of, that we recognize. Fuck about it. Christian scholar told him what was going on. And then the Jewish rabbi said, if he tell you this, but in their arrogance, they refuse to accept his word. You tell me, you give me the quiz. I passed the quiz. Not only do I pass the quiz, because I didn't know this before Allah revealed it to me, the believers that are with me didn't know this as well. The people of Mecca did not know about these stories, did not know about this history. And when this history came, these revelations came, and made them more clear to do what? Follow. Those who were truly following Rasulullah followed him with what? Sincerity and understanding and without wavering. Alhamdulillah. So in conclusion, let us continue to remember that we should always be students. I study Quran. Alhamdulillah. Do so. I study the Hadith. Alhamdulillah. Do so, but study every aspect of who we are. It is the development of the highest potential of our intellect, of our spiritual nature, and of our moral composition. May Allah continue to bless us to be those who strive to do His will, be students of His lessons, be acceptors of His signs and His ayats, and be those who strive every day to emulate, to copy, to follow the most excellent example of the human intellect, the human spirit, and moral capacity. Amen. Become.
Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar. Allahu Akbar.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله، أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله. حي على الصلاة، حي على الصلاة، حي على الفلاح، حي على الفلاح. قد قامت الصلاة، قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر، الله أكبر، لا إله إلا الله.
Dear believers, let us please make sure that our line is straight. When we are so line of space in between for those who hold their attendance. Do not please check your phone, make sure that everybody knows that it's time, inshallah. Give our attention to the right guy. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Ar-Rahmanir Rahim. Maliki Yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. بنان حتان يجيب الصراط المستقيم. إن الإيام لله إبراهيم حنيف وما كان من المشركين. إن الصلاة والرسول والمال لله رب العالمين لا شريك له ومن خلق المرء وحل أوائل المسلمين. الله أكبر. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين الرحمن علمنا القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الله أكبر سمع الله لمن حمده الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر Assalamualaikum warahmatullah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullah.
Assalamu alaikum. Imam Mubarak.
Alaikum.
Please, folks, we want to welcome some, I saw some new faces here today. We want to welcome the Master of Alaikum, the Khatib for the day was Imam Abdul-BaaQee. For the benefit of those who want to know what's going to be going on in Master of Alaikum, please pick up on the table in the foyer, you have a calendar of events. Please pick it up, keep up with what's going on. The next event for the community is going to be September 28th. We're having a community family and game night here in Madison. I'm looking at, we're asking all of y'all to come out and support. Please pick this up. There are copies on the table in the foyer so you'll know what's going on in Madison. I'm looking at. In addition, we want to make sure that if you're interested in participating in the Another Man's Treasure yard sale, it's going to be October the 5th. This is on the calendar as well. However, I want to make a special note. If you're interested in participating, there is a flyer as well as the application or the registration form on the table in the foyer. Complete that form. It is $10 to participate. Take that form and your $10 to the treasurer's office. Please do so, because when I pull it out, so when we get ready to set up on that Saturday, which is October 1st Saturday in October the 5th, you need to make sure you pay before you set up. Inshallah, and this is the form that's out there for the people who are going to participate. We're also looking for any young entrepreneurs to participate in this event. October the 5th, pass the word. If you're a young entrepreneur or know one, please have them to see email Wali Shah. He's sitting right in front. Inshallah. Now, Mahaj is, I don't know where he went. Oh, let me see, come up here. In addition to, let me see. Okay, we're going to be doing a resourceful people. I need everybody who has a special skill, a special knowledge, something that's beneficial to people in the community, whether you're a doctor, lawyer, or Indian chief, or a teacher, or you know how to sew, or you know how to do something. We're looking to put together a list so that when we have to have something done, we'll know who to call. So please, I'll have it inshallah by next week for you to sign up to let me know what your specialty is. So if anybody's interested in having something particularly done or need some references or something, that if you and be willing to do this, because if you have a lot of bless you with, you got to share with other people. So be willing to share whatever gift it is that Allah has blessed you with other people in the community, so we can have a running list of who does what in the community. Also, don't forget the membership form. Do not complete this form more than once. You're the same person. I've been going through the forms. I don't need to see but your name but once. Complete one form. Complete the front and the back. Sign it and date it. If you're running from somebody, this is the wrong place. But at any rate, please complete the membership form and turn it into the treasurer's office. We're going to please remember our sick and shut in the community, to call and check on our older brothers and sisters. I know it's half the community, just call each other. Anyway, we want to make sure we check on our people who are sick in the community. There is nomination forms that are out there for the board of directors. There are 3 positions for the next 4 years and 1 position for additional 2 years. Please make a recommendation for somebody. On the form is on the tripod in the foyer. Put it in the pyramid. Do not put your money in the pyramid. It is only for the nomination forms. Also, ratification Imam Wali Shahi will be the first Sunday in November. Please keep up with your emails, because I spelled it out to you what the date is. We're going to start the voting early. Do not forget to vote for the President of the United States. That's real important. November the 5th. I need y'all to do that. Please. Everybody who is 18 and up in your family, make sure they vote. Inshallah. Okay, Muslim Journal newspaper. I don't know what wrong with you. You probably somewhere. Anyway, please check the Muslim Journal newspaper. Be mindful. In December, there are several of us who are going to be traveling to a time to be grateful in Miami, Florida. We'll take the spirit of the community with us. Keep us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum. I want Mahaj to make this announcement.
Alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
November 1st through the 3rd, it will be the 5th annual Reboot, Reconnect, Refocus, the International Muslim Marriage Retreat. The host will be myself and Abdul-BaaQee. It was something that she had on her heart for years. She kept saying, Muslims don't talk about marriage and other marriage, say about me. And in the conversation she had with Sister Constance, that when you keep talking about it, come up with something. So, Alhamdulillah is our 5th year, and it's international as well, because we have a couple from the synagogue that have attended. They attended last year, and inshallah they will attend this year. It is actually an interfaith marriage retreat, Islamically based. Interfaith marriage retreat, there are certain things we're going to have. Soul pain from our dear sister Lydia Muhammad will be one of the things. Halal chicken soup for the soul, which will be Imam Suleiman Hamid and his wife, Sister Shahida Sharif, as well as an interactive section from our own. She is ours, even though she is in North Carolina, our own dear sister and author, Akila Rashid. She will be there as well. And because marriage is more than just coming to the masjid and things of that nature, we're going to have Chicago stepping class. We have an instructor that's going to be there, and he's going to be with us, and as well as financial advice from David Haslett, who is he's a reconstructor of finances. This is from November the 1st to the 3rd. It will be at the Hilton Gardens Inn, and that's at East Germantown Road at 6811 Trevere South. I think it was one more slot left. But please be encouraged, if you want to donate to this event, please donate to this event, whatever your heart leads you to. We are trying to strive and serve to the last one to keep up and keep alive the practice of understanding and the acknowledgement of half of our being. So please, for those of us who can, 5th annual Muslim Marriage Retreat, Reboot, Reconnect, and Refocus.
Assalamu alaikum. If you want additional information, please see Imam Mahaj directly. I want to bring Linda up to make an announcement. That's all right.
Assalamualaikum. So it's with the name of Allah, most gracious, most merciful. It's really awesome that this announcement comes after Abdul-BaaQee. And I'll just read it to you. For with the blessings of the merciful Allah, with gratefulness in our hearts, we joyfully invite you to our Nikah ceremony of Vida Jones and Abdul-BaaQee. Come and celebrate with us Saturday, the 16th of November, 2024, at 1 p.m. in the afternoon here at Masjid Al-Mu'minun, 4412 South 3rd, Memphis, Tennessee. RSVP to Linda Muhammad Furkan. The phone number is here on the flyer. I will place it on the board. You can RSVP by text or by email, please. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Please bring the dua to Sister Vita and Brother Wadu as they begin their journey together as husband and wife, practitioners of our day. Alhamdulillah, there's not any more announcements to be said. It was beautiful to be with you. It was energy that I much needed. Imam, you got any announcements, sir? Okay. I will leave you as I greeted you. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Alhamdulillah.